Another Tim Pool gets owned on Joe Rogan?
No, it's just that he said that he's single because of feminism.
Oh, that was a great Tim Pool. By the way,
I don't think that quote about him being single because of feminism was on Joe Rogan, though. I think that screenshot is from Joe Rogan.
okay.
Yeah.
Wait, can we find that since we're talking about him? He's single because of feminism. He says, I remember this. I'm glad we have opportunity to talk about it because it's so fucking, bro, it's like really bad.
I can't possibly have babies because of climate change. You know,
Say what?
I can't possibly.
It's got to be here somewhere, right? All right, one of you guys find it, damn it. So here's why Tim Pool's single, and it has nothing to do with anything we just talked about. That he's an emotion. He's like an unhinged little weasel.
I can't possibly have
This
babies
is it?
because of climate change.
Oh,
You know,
Right, which is nonsense.
No, of
But I
course.
do think it's crazy that I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me. I think it's everybody else.
Yeah. I can't
imagine actually saying that.
Oh my god.
Imagine actually saying that. It's like it's like a joke that it's like a sketch.
Fuck, I wish I could find the original unedited. Is there like a 5-minute thing just of that segment?
It's like Michael Scott.
Yeah.
It's definitely not me. It's everybody else.
Oh my god.
It's almost like he
Wow.
diagnosed the problem as he was saying it.
That I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my
That's kind of sad, but a great soundbite.
I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me. I think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
There's got to be like a longer.
Because my dad,
Like,
women.
and a lot of it was the me culture, because that was like
Right.
people wanted to extend their childhoods instead of, you know, growing up, getting a job, and it was just a.
Actually, fuck it. Let's watch this whole segment. I don't think I've watched the whole thing before. Feminist politics has made dating nearly impossible.
I want to present to you some ideas, and then you can just tell me what you think.
Sure.
And then we'll start from there.
That sounds great.
So have you heard that like young dudes aren't dating for the most part? Like they're not hooking up, they're virgins.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, before we even go anything, why do you think that is?
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with dating apps, and women having more options now.
So I'll explain this idea, and I guess you agree.
Yeah.
But we did a segment on this before, so just bear with me if you've already seen it. Basically, before dating apps and social media, a college-age woman or high school, whatever age, is their dating pool is limited. I think college is probably a better idea.
Yeah.
I hate this dating app fucking. It's such a red herring. The issue is that women go to school and women get jobs now. So if you're trying to date a woman, just like having a job and having a paycheck isn't enough anymore. And for a lot of guys growing up, you don't really receive like the training from your parents to maintain relationships, because in the past, all your parents needed were paychecks. But like now, all of the conversation has shifted from men who also don't understand the options that women have always had. Now the conversation is shifting onto these dating apps, and guys will be like, "You don't understand. Now with Tinder, a woman could fuck 1,000 guys," and it's like, yeah, women could always do that, my dude. It hasn't changed that much.
Is probably a better example. Their dating pool is limited to the other college students of the same age and around their peers. But with Tinder, now they can message a 30-year-old guy who lives 5-10 miles away and who has a car. So when this woman swipes right on a 20-year-old college dude and a 30-year-old career guy, she thinks they're both attractive, messages both of them. The 30-year-old guy says, "I can pick you up in my Honda Civic and we can go to the lake or go see a movie." And the college guy says, "You want to hang out my dorm with my dorm mates? Which one's she going to pick?"
She's gonna pick the guy who isn't in the dorm.
Right. So, I mean, so you agree?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
Like college guys trying to hit on like high school girls. and like girls like ending up like gravitating towards like older guys. Like this is a thing that's always happened, right? This is a thing that has always been like a thing. It's not super common, or wasn't like the most common. Like you wouldn't expect like a girl in high school to be dating a college, but there are always these kind of guys that like lurked around. But the idea that it's average now that a girl will be dating, there's not enough 30-year-old guys for every high school girl. Like it's just not, there's not enough 35-year-old business owners for every college girl.
But would you say that's materialism, or do you think it's just?
I think it's biological.
Explain. What do you mean?
Like women are driven to find a mate, whether or not you like it or not. Like we're driven.
How true is it that all dudes used to need was just a paycheck? Is that actually representative of a large portion of relationships back then? I think so, yeah. Because I mean, like, what? Because a woman can't do anything. What? She's not going to work that much. She's not going to have like a big career. Like, you kind of, that was like just like the next stage in life for a woman, was to kind of like find a guy and then start a family, and that was like your next thing.
And to be like, okay, who can support us? And men are driven to be like, okay, well, who's going to give us healthy children? These are biological impulses that we have. So a woman whose options are a guy with no job, drinks all the time, parties, like it's age appropriate. You should be doing that stuff.
Destiny is 35 and his girlfriends are younger. First of all, until Melina, basically every girlfriend was the same age as me. Number one. Okay. Number two, I think my current girlfriend was like 28 or maybe 27. It's about the same age, like class, like bracket. I'm not dating another 20-year-old or 19-year-old, but okay. Also, the biggest mindfuck for this video, shouldn't Tim be the guy on Tinder that's snatching up all these girls? Aren't you the older dude who's now out of school, who's like a successful businessman, multimillionaire? Like, shouldn't you be the one that's... Sorry.
Cool.
Explain. What do you mean?
Like women are driven to find a mate, whether or not you like it or not. Like we're driven to be like, okay, who can support us? And, men are driven to be like, okay, well, who's going to give us healthy children? These are biological impulses that we have. So a woman whose options are a guy with no job, drinks all the time, parties, like it's age appropriate. You should be doing that stuff. But
just as a real quick thing, sorry, yeah, no job, drinks all the time, parties all the time, age appropriate. That's not necessarily what that is. I don't know if that's appropriate to any age. Now, maybe she's being a little hyperbolic, but okay.
She had, these, that was her pool. And now she has men who have jobs and money and houses and are ready to do that, to be who she is biologically driven to want to be. And so she's going to choose that, unless she's wanting to party to like the dorm guy and not ready to settle down.
Because there's some, so I think there's a mix between biological and social.
Yep.
I don't think it's purely one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think typically you'll find from like the feminists, it's all social constructs.
Yes.
But there was a study I just talked about earlier on one of my other channels, that when a woman gets a promotion,
mm-hmm.
she is more likely to get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
If a man gets a promotion, there's no change.
Do you think she gets divorced by like her saying, I want to get divorced now because I can support myself, or is it the man saying, I can't live with you being more successful?
I think it's
than me?
both.
That's
Well,
interesting.
I wonder what he's even... When woman gets promotion, divorce, increase... This paper looks at top political jobs in Sweden. We're looking at political jobs? Okay. Promoted to a top job leads to large increase. The paper, which looks at top political jobs in Sweden, provides first causal evidence about promotions impact marriage durability across genders. Figure above from the paper shows the share of job candidates who remained married to their spouse when they were up for promotion, indicated by the black vertical line. Maybe this can't just include like, maybe it's like bureaucratic jobs as well. Women who receive a promotion, black line, were much less likely to stay married than peers who were not promoted. Gray line. The authors found that promoted women get divorced at twice the rate of non-promoted women, resulting in a 7 percentage point divorce gap 3 years later. The authors find no evidence of a temptation effect or that promoted women leave their spouse because they found a new partner, nor was there much support for the explanation that women left because their promotion gave them financial independence. Indeed, the women in their sample were high earners before the bump in position. However, they did find some evidence that the new position touched on sensitivities to social norms around how much wives should be earning relative to their husbands. It's so okay. So I haven't read this paper. One, it's just jobs and politics, and it's from Sweden. Okay, so the sample we're looking at is pretty limited. But two, it sounds like the conclusion of the authors is literally flying in the face of what Tim is saying here, and that it looks like they are pointing to some sort of societal or environmental effect for why they would get divorced after. So this paper that he's citing doesn't even further his argument. I wonder what the sample size for this was for women elected in politics, years from election. What a weird, what a weird cohort is what I'm thinking of. Huh.
So my opinion is, I think typically, not always, a woman wants a man who is of higher status than they are.
Yep.
Somebody who's capable, strong.
Did he even cite anything? He just brings it up as a fact? Well, I just Googled because he said that when women get promoted, they're more likely to break up, whereas when men get promoted, it doesn't change it at all. But that's why I just Googled that. I was curious if there was like evidence or what he was talking about. Maybe there's another study or other studies. No, this is also citing that Swedish study. But they literally say in the conclusion, well, to be fair, I'm not reading the paper. I'm just looking at this news article. So maybe the news article doesn't agree with the authors, or they're citing them incorrectly. But it says right here that they did find some evidence that the new position touched on sensitivities to social norms around how much wives should be earning relative to their husbands. They find no evidence of a temptation effect. So he's citing to what I can only say there's one paper of, but then his conclusion is like the exact opposite, or at least not in line with the author's conclusion on this one paper that he cited. But I doubt he's even read.
I think typically, not always, a woman wants a man who is of higher status than they are.
Yep.
Somebody who's capable, strong, confident, that they can look up to
Yep.
and know if, like, you can rely on yourself as a woman, and then you know you have this powerful benefit in this strong man who's also providing you like a safety net, I guess.
Yeah.
And then men want to feel like protectors.
Yes.
So you flip the dynamic. If the woman gets a promotion, now the man feels inadequate.
It's almost emasculation.
Yeah. And so I know that it's funny. You'll see a lot of feminists will say something like, "Oh, boo-hoo, the poor man." You know, it's like, it doesn't matter what you think about it. It matters that men feel this way and they'll leave.
Yep.
And so then you literally, with this promotion, you end up with women now feeling like their man isn't sufficient because they're higher. He's not providing them any safety at all. And then the man feeling like they're not protecting anybody.
Yep.
There are other things you can provide in a relationship, right? We're not cavemen. This is like a loser approach to relationships. Like he's restating what I said, like in a nicer lens. Like, well, men want to be like provide something different. It's 2024, okay? We have Medicaid. There's other things. We have cops, okay?
So, I mean, you agree, I guess?
Yeah, I agree with that. I completely agree.
So what do you think the future is going to hold then if we keep, and this is Sweden, by the way, where this study was done, like one of the most egalitarian societies.
Yep.
Oh, so he even is so he is referencing the exact study that I said, and he's a little bit more familiar with it. Is he going to mention that the cohort was just politically elected people?
So,
or what the conclusions of the authors were for that study?
Here's what we're seeing. We're seeing low birth rates.
Yep.
People aren't getting married anymore. They actually, and now we have, with like the Me Too movement, there is a backlash. Dating has become a lot harder.
Yes.
Men are behaving differently. What's the future?
What can you provide that's different? That's a question I'm trying to answer. I mean, some kind of more like fruitful, like social, emotional, psychological engagement with the person, right? Make somebody feel loved or appreciated or respected or invested in them. I don't know, all the gay shit that like people are supposed to do as part of like healthy, loving relationships. Not just like, here's my paycheck, I earned some money, I'm gonna go watch TV, bye. Like, he's quoting it from Jordan Peterson, which originally mentioned the study many times with misleading conclusions. Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
You're then going to be.
I mean, if you want to look at the way that we kind of look at social media at this point, like, oh, if you're not finding it, find another site. Maybe there needs to be like a site made for the 20-year-olds that aren't getting girlfriends looking for it. So maybe there's a group of women who aren't getting boyfriends that, like aren't feminists, but something like that. So maybe make an alternate site.
Yeah, you think that's the issue? is that okay.
Or these men and try to do
I just
it
don't think that's going
that
to work,
way.
though. I think
I mean,
if a 20-year-old woman can choose, even a 25-year-old guy who's got a car and a job,
she's gonna.
yeah. And so then what happens is those young men who are in college
Yeah.
aren't forming relationships, aren't seeing any incentive to better themselves, to become a provider or protector.
So that's why they become feminists instead.
That's not even a good approach to life. Like, I'm going to college so that I can impress some fucking chick. What a horrible approach to masculinity, to self-improvement, to moral obligations to the world and to society, to self-respect. What a horrible approach to character building.
Dead.
Well, no, the predators do.
Ugh. Yeah.
Right, because but yeah, a lot of them are probably so desperate they'll say, "I'll just say whatever you want."
Yeah.
But then women don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you. We'll make it a little personal.
Sure.
Would you like a male feminist guy who just fawns over you and does whatever you say?
I would hate that.
Well, there you go. And then what ends up happening is these guys who are like white knights, neckbeard, whatever.
Yep.
I know I'm being a little harsh, but let's just say these guys, then after a year of doing what the movies told them to do, are shocked to find you are not attracted to them. And so then what happens?
Yeah, but I mean, like, no offense, my dude, but like these girls, the conservative movements are having a lot of trouble with women as well, because girls, they might not be attracted to the simp fuck loser, right? Which we can all understand for obvious reasons, right? You don't want some, some simp fuck loser, but they're also not attracted to like these schizoid conservative like dudes who have encyclopedic knowledge of how Hitler could have won World War II and the biological imperative. Like,
Then they could get angry.
Get handsy.
Yeah, get handsy.
And then get called out, and then we reset the clock.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Wait, what?
a year of doing what the movies told them to do, are shocked to find you are not attracted to them. And so then what happens?
Can you give me an example of a movie that tells you to be a simp fuck loser? Can somebody give me like an example of this? Like, what kind of movie or movies are they talking about?
Then they could get angry.
Get handsy.
Yeah, get handsy.
And then get called out, and then we reset the clock.
Yep.
Yeah, so I want to be very delicate here. Otherwise, all the feminists in the world are going to come and try and bite my head off. But
Why would you care? Why would he even pretend he cares about that?
I want to be very delicate here. Otherwise, all the feminists in the world are going to come and try and bite my head off. But I've seen a lot of rhetoric that women want egalitarian relationships. They want to be with equal partners.
Yep.
But then everything we actually see is not the case. It's not the case. How do you feel about this? Do you think overwhelmingly women biologically want stronger, assertive men?
Yeah.
When somebody, this is not even. I don't even want to do this, bro. I just want to play video games. This is like not even worth talking about. Like, this isn't like real. We're not watching real stuff. This is not like a real conversation. These are not real people. Like, it's not a real interpretation of anything being said. When people say they want equal relationships, what, do you want the guy with a 6-inch dick to cut his penis off so both of you have 3-inch penises? Like, that's what the equivalent of this conversation is. When people say they want equal relationships, they just mean they want equal respect. Not that both sides have to make the exact same amount of money. Not that both sides have to have the exact same bench press. Not that both sides have to be the exact same height. Not that both sides have to, take turns pegging each other or what. Like, it's such a stupid, reductive, like simplistic, naive way of viewing relationships. It's like, ugh. There's a movie about a simp. It's called 500 Days of Summer. What? I can't even tell if you're meme or not. That movie would not show you that being a simp is successful because the guy literally doesn't even get the girl in the end. What the fuck? That's probably the best movie to make a simp watch. No? Like,
I think overwhelmingly women biologically want stronger, assertive men.
Yes, because I think your impulses biologically outweigh your social construct. I think it's nature versus nurture, and nature wins in the long run, no matter how much you try to.
That was one of the studies that I was reading the other day as well, that you have all these feminists in San Francisco, when asked, said, "Oh, I want an equal relationship," and then when they're like, "How do you date?" and they're like, "Oh, well, when I date, it's traditional gender roles."
Yes.
So what's the future then? Men aren't hooking up.
Yeah.
They're not dating.
It's bleak. I mean, we almost need to hit a reset button on everything.
I kind of feel like the apocalypse is going to be slow and boring, and this is one of the ways it comes about.
Yeah.
You've got a generation now that are of men that are being stunted because of all of the things we've just talked about.
Yep.
You've got an increasingly, this increasing push, right? There was a tweet from Progressive, the insurance company. We need to encourage more women to be CEOs. But if we look at that other data that says that as women get promotions, they're more likely to get divorced.
In political jobs in Sweden, by the way, but okay. Man, we're reading a lot into that single study, right? Remember that like 50 million fucking prospective, double-blind, whatever studies on vaccines and shit, okay? That's not enough to tell us if an mRNA vaccine is safe. However, man, this one study with the cohort of women who are politically elected people in Sweden, that's a really important thing to draw broad sociological conclusions from. I'm so curious what the sample size was for the study. Okay. Swedish study, political or women, election, divorce rates, marriage. Okay, at least the sample size is bigger than I expected it to be. 641 for women, 1246 for men. Man, it's literally just there's so many crazy confounds with this cohort. Not to say, by the way, that is there a way to view the actual paper? Not to say, the conclusion, it could carry over to other things, but is this the paper? No. Oh, thank you. They look at winning and losing candidates in elections. Most of the analysis focuses on the jobs of mayor and the parliamentarian, two jobs at the pinnacle of power in the public sector. We identify and follow both winning and losing candidates for these positions over time, before and after their promotion. Damn. It's an interesting paper, but I don't even know if I would say this applies more to women that get promoted at their job more than it would just people that win elections versus people that lose elections, and then broken out into male and female. That's such a weird cohort to use to try to generalize to the ordinary population when this cohort is going to be so different from ordinary people. They also look at CEO promotions in Swedish private firms over a 12-year period, comparing men and women promoted to the CEO level. We document a strikingly similar pattern of a widening gender gap in divorce rates after promotion. The CEO one is probably a bit more applicable. What do you mean with cohort? Like the particular group of people that you select to do a particular study on. So, for instance, let's say that I wanted to see if keto diet improves your health, and then I choose 100 people and I do a keto diet, and every single person's health deteriorates pretty significantly. And then you find out that my sample was a bunch of kids with leukemia at the local children's cancer hospital. It'd be why would you choose that group of people? Jesus Christ, that's a that's a very particular group of people. Again, not to say that the conclusion of the study might not be incorrect. Well, I don't even know what they're concluding in the study. Not to say it's not pointing in a direction of relevance, but that's just, it's interesting to cite this and lean so heavily into it when the group of people that are selected here are so particularized. Promotion can change a person's work environment, introduce them to new potential partners. If women's divorces are motivated by exposure to new potential partners, They should be concentrated among women who were the least exposed to opposite-sex coworkers prior to their promotion. We measure the proportion and number of opposite-sex coworkers in the politician's previous workplace by leveraging the plant ID code in the registered data. We exclude the politicians themselves from this calculation, and to reduce noise, we drop workplaces with fewer than 10 employees. The sample is then split by the median of the share or absolute number of colleagues of the opposite sex. The two resulting groups have either low or high expected temptation effects. Estimating equations on the two samples does not support the temptation effect. If anything, the promotion effect on divorce is larger for women who enter politics from relatively male-heavy environments. A more direct test of the temptation effect is to study remarriage rates among promoted and divorced women. Figure 9 provides this description to okay, so they look at that, I guess, and then economic theory suggests that marriages may be destabilized if job promotions move the division of pay or unpaid labor away from the spouse's expectations of those divisions. These expectations are formed early in the relationship at the time of the match. If a husband is promoted in a gender-traditional couple that has specialized around his career since its early stages, this conforms with expectations. If, however, the wife is promoted in a gender-traditional couple, this deviates from the expectation. In the context of our study, we expect women's divorces to be concentrated in traditional marriages rather than more gender-equal marriages. Economic theory is agnostic on which spouse would initiate the divorce when a promotion causes a change in the expected division of paid and or unpaid labor. As the labor market outcomes of one spouse deviate more from the expected path, the cost-benefit calculus for remaining married shifts for both parties. It is useful to think of this tradition in terms of adjustment costs. The results in figure 11 and 12 show that divorce among promoted women is concentrated in couples that were more specialized around the husband's career. In the early stages of the relationship, divorce is more likely to occur when the promoted woman is younger by her spouse by a larger margin and 2, took a relatively larger share of the parental leave. Strikingly, we find no evidence, no divorce effect in the subsample of women in more gender-equal couples. Like, imagine if you were like a libcuck and you were debating Tim, you would literally cite this exact same study back at him and you would just quote the authors here. Actually, Tim, you know how you're saying gender equality is bad? Well, in the couples that are gender equal, when women get promoted, they actually don't divorce at all. Like, it's such a stupid way. Why do I care? This isn't even a real conversation. When the couple is closer in age and when the husband took relatively more parental leave, there is no increase in the divorce rate after the woman's promotion. The larger divorce effect in gender traditional couples. Recall also the sample size is smaller for this variable due to the unavailability of parental data for children born before 1980. Cringe. Okay. What a weird study to cite, and then to cite it incorrectly.
I think what we end up seeing is as women make more and more money, they're less likely to be attracted to the average guy. More women are in school in the United States today than men.
Yep.
So it seems like if the income averages for a college degree versus a high school degree are true, we're going to end up with a generation of women who view almost all men as inadequate. And then you're going to have a bunch of men their age who never had a relationship at all and are going to be stunted, basement-dwelling neckbeards. Seems pretty bad.
What happens when they turn 30, do you think? And then they move into the role of the people who stole the eligible women from them?
No, they have no experience with women.
So they'll just move into the basements instead of into the role.
Right.
So it's just guys in their 80s now stealing all the college babes.
Right.
Yeah.
So like for me, I'm a couple weeks away from being 34. But I grew up at a time I was coming of age when these social media platforms were being built. So I exploited all of them.
Yes.
I had a very normal teenage years and 20s and everything, dating, hooking up, partying, all the good stuff. And I skateboarded all the time and I was arrogant, cocky, just awful person, all that. And the ladies loved it. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I mean, they kind of did. And now I'm in my 30s and I can go on dating apps and be like, oh yeah, yep, you got it. And then these other guys who are like 26 have no experience because guys like me have dominated the dating apps for the entire time.
Yep.
So
Then why are you still single? Why don't you have a family if that's like your goal?
when they're 30, they've never dated before.
And they might, if they've tried a dating app and it didn't work, they're probably not going to want to go back on it when they're 30 to try again.
But dating apps are awful anyway. Like
I've
it's
never
like
tried one.
Well, it's like for women, it's just you just sit there and you get inundated with messages from literally everyone, and then guys go in and message literally everyone.
Yep.
It's become awful. So I've basically walked away from it, just like, ugh, it's trash. But there was a period where it was like, I don't know if you've seen the Family Guy episode where Quagmire discovers Tinder. And
oh yes.
And he's like hunched over and he's like swiping
like a troll. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Gollum.
Gollum, yeah,
Right,
that's
from Lord of
right.
the Rings. So there was a period where it was glorious, and then everyone just got on board with it.
Yep.
Everyone uses it, and now it's just a waste. But I'm kind of envisioning this future now where I think one of the main driving factors for what makes someone successful and responsible is pair bonding, mating, you know, like a reason to live, to grow. At least it used to be. And now I'm like...
I mean, there is hope because a lot of people outgrow that, the social justice aspect that's kind of aiding in stunting all these men, like the women who are super...
Like you guys are stunting young men?
Because a lot of people outgrow that, the social justice aspect that's kind of aiding in stunting all these men, like the women who are super social justice. So eventually they're going to be like, okay, like I'm ready to settle down now.
You know what I failed to factor in with this hypothesis? These 30-year-old guys...
Men that aren't evil need to have accountability and responsibility for their masculinity and sexuality. The majority of women today don't have any accountability and a responsibility for their femininity or sexuality. Do you not agree? I don't know what the fuck that even means.
Who were, you know, stepped over because of Tinder and stuff.
Yeah.
There are going to be 20-year-old women who aren't going to go for 40-year-old guys.
Yes.
I mean, they actually might, though. Some of them.
Some.
But then you're going to have weird women as a result.
Yeah.
You're going to have 30-year-old guys who live in their parents' basement, and you're going to have the next generation below them even worse. Unless it skips over and, like, you know, Generation Z or whatever becomes more manly in response. I don't know.
I see a lot of women that are, you know, a little like late 30s and stuff that never settled down, kind of got so far into hookup culture and then just,
Yikes.
oh crap, like,
That's
did I
millennials.
miss my shot? Yeah.
Man, millennials. They're in for a world of hurt. Yeah. I think especially millennial women.
Yeah.
Because there was a...
Because they're going to turn 30 and hit the wall, and they're going to be so sad that they missed over the great guys like me. Does Tim Pool just sell doomerism? Why is this guy popular with young guys when he's just telling them other fuck? Because that's what all these guys do. All of these guys, the goal, remember, Propaganda 101 is to just increase divisiveness, center on and exploit things that divide people and make people feel miserable and sad, and that's all it is, yeah.
A couple stories that I was reading a while ago. This one got me in a lot of trouble. 30-year-old career women are having trouble finding men.
Yeah.
I remember.
True.
Yeah.
I remember the
It was
trouble
so
you
much
got
fun.
into. Yeah.
It was trouble. I do air quotes because I was laughing the whole time. It was
I know.
awesome. I'm like, look at all these tweets. It was
They were
hilarious. The
so
feminists are so mad. And I'm like, what are you mad at me for? This is the story. This is the day. I didn't make it up. And like, I'm pretty tepid. I'm not like trying to be mean. But yeah, these 30-year-old women are realizing.
Well, they take facts as endorsements. You
Right,
can't
of course.
say a fact without being an endorsement.
It's certainly coming from my opinion that I read this. But yeah, they're starting to have a rude awakening. That they're 30.
Yep.
And 30-year-old men are going for 20-year-olds.
Yep.
But like that was always the case, you know?
Yeah, they always like younger women, and younger women like older men.
Yeah, there was a video by these two comedians, and it was like they're singing, and it's two women.
Yep.
And they're singing about like being 29 and how like everything's great and life is good. And then she's like, and now I'm turning 30. And then she just starts screaming, everyone's gone. What's happening? Where are all the men? Ah. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yes.
Can you recommend some common place to go to meet other people? Listen, go to college. It's like fucking 70% women there, okay? Jesus.
So what's the future then? Are we going to sit in like pods and go to virtual reality and just never date and make up fake people to hook up with on like The Sims?
I think we're in for a divided nation, and I don't know if it's gonna be a civil war or if it's gonna be a secession. Like I can't tell you, but
Really?
there are two
Over
very
dating?
different. In general, I mean, this goes into the dating. 'Cause
Right.
There are just two very different types of people in this
Yeah.
world. There are, right now in America, there
What do the post-college grads in chat do? Go back to school for your second degree.
are the people who pour milk on themselves at Bernie Sanders rallies.
Fake blood.
Yeah. And then there's the people who just want to settle down, make a life, stay home with their kids. And
But I
just-
think that's most people.
yeah, a lot of people are like that.
You know what actually-
there's like radical and then there's moderate.
No, I actually think I started thinking this. The problems we're talking about are city problems. They're not rural problems.
So rural people.
Like if you live outside of a big city, if you're in a rural area and you don't go to one of these big universities or state universities and you work a trade,
Yep.
you've got your community.
That's true.
Your
The
community.
trade lie is the funniest fucking thing that all these fucking losers that they push and they don't believe in. All of them push it and none of them believe in it. All these guys will tell you about how important the trades are. None of their kids are going to school for trades. None of their friends went to school for trades. None of the people they hire or work with go to school for trades. Okay? They have no evidence of any of this. The only people that they'll ever cite to are people that like own businesses that hire people in trades. Like the trades thing was the biggest meme lie that these fucking retards ever pushed.
Is going to keep doing its thing. Now, economics could play a big role in that because a lot of these towns are falling apart.
Yeah.
But if with Trump's bolstering of the economy, then the cities are the ones.
Also, crazy that I guess you don't need plumbers or electricians or carpenters in cities, I guess. You only need them in rural areas. Trades only exist in the rural areas because trades are for manly men. Trades are for men, and the gym is for men, and testosterone are for manly men. And losers, boys, simp fucks work in offices and cities where there are no trades and no toilets and they eat crickets. No manly men workers are needed in the cities for the soy boys and the simps.
in trouble, where these weird dating things are happening and the women aren't getting.
Never mind the fact that when we talk about like opioid overdoses and like the meth epidemic and shit in the Midwest and everything, I'm pretty sure these are generally on like rural communities. I don't think it's like focused in cities, but who knows?
Having cats, you know, they're buying a bunch of cats and then they're like, and I mean it literally.
Yeah.
Like I know cat lady was meant to be like an exaggeration, and it's not anymore.
It's not.
Look on Instagram, man. It's like there are a bunch of feminist writers. I kid you not, cat accounts. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, just
People
making
ask me
cats.
why I won't start an account for my cat Figaro, and well, this might have something to do with it.
You don't want to be a cat lady.
He can share my account.
It's like small animals are replacing the dopamine release you got from having babies.
Yes.
So now we've just replaced, you know, eunuch animal.
Yes, Tim. In the human brain, it's simple dopamine that drives us to have kids. True.
Instead of children,
Yep.
but it's mostly big cities.
Yeah.
You look at like, you know, rural areas, they're still having bigger families.
Yep.
In fact, there was research.
Why doesn't Tim have kids then? He lives in a rural area. He has no excuse. He should have like 20 kids by now, no? How is he still single? I mean, this is 4 years old. Maybe he has a family now and I missed it.
done in the 2000s that conservatives were having more kids and liberals weren't.
Yeah.
Today, it's reflected in the Generation Z being slightly more conservative.
Yeah.
So if this trend remains true, I think the population will kind of go down. You're going to end up with a bunch of urban and suburban, you know, weirdo guys and women.
And a lot of it was the me culture, because that was like
Right.
people wanted to extend their childhoods instead of, you know, growing up, getting a job. And it was just a generation of, you know, late millennial, and a slightly early Gen Z. I guess it's like the 90s. The 90s
Yeah.
babies kind of were them. Not to offend any 90s babies. you guys know what you are. But yeah, and so it was a generation like that kind of decided, well, I can't have babies if I want to extend my childhood. So then that came down
Yep.
to, I can't possibly have babies because of climate change. You know?
This- Right, which is nonsense.
No, of
But I
course.
do think it's crazy that I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is, though? It's definitely not me. I think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to the women that I've been in relationships with,
Like, this has to be him. Like, behind the scenes, he's like, okay, obviously I'm grifting like crazy. I wonder what, like, the craziest shit is that I can sneak under the radar to my fan base that they'll fucking believe. I'm like, do you think I could really get away with this? It's not me. It's everyone else. I'm going to try to slip that in, okay? Let's see if we can actually do it. And then he goes live and...
it's definitely not me. I think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to the women that I've been in relationships with, so one relationship I was in was a woman had a career. And so we never saw each other. And she's like, I'm not giving up my career. I'm like, well, I'm certainly not.
Yeah.
And then some other women are like, I want to go.
Well, why are you dating a woman in a career? What, did you expect her to give it up when you started dating her? Why date a woman with a career then? Why not find a woman who doesn't have a career?
Relationship I was in was a woman had a career. And so we never saw each other. And she's like, I'm not giving up my career. I'm like, well, I'm certainly not.
Yeah.
And then some other women are like, I want to go adventure and do my thing. And I'm like,
then you're probably not dating them. That's not something that like a girlfriend would say. I'm gonna go adventure and do my thing. That's not that's not a person you're dating. Are you just is he just like quoting random like Tinder profiles that he's seen now? Like what?
I'm all about freedom and liberty, so you do your thing, I guess. And the only option I really have is to be like, no, you must be the wife. And like, that's not me.
Yep, exactly.
So I haven't found.
So you got to find somebody who wants to, start a family and be maybe a stay-at-home mother.
But
Something.
here's the challenge with that. My perspective, personality, what I find attractive, are all based on liberal urban sensibilities.
Yep.
And so most of the women in that space are going to be fiercely independent careerists and not necessarily compatible.
Oh, so he's hitting on something that might be true for him. He let the mask slide, but I don't know if he realizes this or not, but he just completely contradicted what he said in the beginning of the video. He said in the beginning of the video, we just look at women as baby machines. We're looking at women that can have healthy babies. That's all we want. That's biology. You can't get across that. You can't just throw that away. It's nature versus nurture, and nature always wins. That's what they said. That's what they said on here, right? But now he's saying he's not just attracted to baby machines. He does like women that are more aggressive, more ambitious, more career-driven, more independent. Well, what happened? I thought, shouldn't he just be attracted to the woman with the most hourglass-like figure that can produce the healthiest and greatest amount of children?
My perspective, personality, what I find attractive, are all based on liberal urban sensibilities.
Yep.
And so most of the women in that space are going to be fiercely independent careerists and not necessarily compatible. So, over the past several years, I've been, increasingly successful. I have no problem and no concerns about starting a family whenever I need to. But most of the women that, I have been with are like, can't career.
Yep.
And so there have been some who are like nearly 40. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's getting up there a little bit.
and it's no offense. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like,
40-year-old women are lovely.
Bro, aren't you? Well, I don't know how old he is in this video. How old Tim Pool? He's 38 now, so 40 would have been 34. Oh, 6 years older than him, but he said nearly 40 though. Just a couple years older than you. Like you're pretty old as well, my dude. But
Yep.
and so there have been some who are like nearly 40. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's getting up there a little bit.
and it's no offense. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like,
40-year-old women are lovely. Okay.
no, it's the issue isn't them being 40. It's the difference in my age to their age and where I am.
which is like what, 4 years? You said you turned 34 and they're nearly 40. So what are they? 37, 38, 39? So the difference in age is, we'll say 4 years. What is the
in my life. And the same is true with younger women too. So I could certainly find like a younger woman who's like, I just want to, and I'm like, but we're just
And
not.
there's biology that comes into play too there. If you're looking to start a family and she's already in her 40s, then there could be some trouble, and that could be hard, and that might not fit your what you want in your life.
Yep.
And that's entirely true. That's biology. And I say this, I'm in my 30s, I'm getting there. So, it's
Ooh. That means she's 36 or 37. Maybe? Hold on.
entirely true. That's biology. Your what you want
Hold on. I'm trying to divine. Hold on. I'm using my women mind read powers right now. Hold on.
in your life.
Yep.
And that's entirely true. That's biology. And I say this, I'm in my 30s, I'm getting there. So, it's understandable. And
My guess is 36. My guess is 36. She's early 30s. I feel like if a woman was 32, she wouldn't say she's in her 30s. I feel like she'd say she's in her early 30s. Mid 30s sounds a little bit pretentious. Why would you say mid 30s? So my guess is going to be 34 to 36. 34 to 36. Redheaded libertarian age. Fuck. Does she have a bio anywhere? Oh, fuck. This says 32, 4 years ago. But she doesn't have a bio? That's what she admitted to publicly? I don't believe it. She was 37. Absolutely. That's not her. Libertarian redhead, that's not her. The redheaded libertarian is different than libertarian red. Oh, that's her. Gen Y, mother of 3. Is Gen Y older than millennial? Generation Y is a demographic group of people born between 81 and 96. Oh, that just means millennial? Somebody said she was 32 when this was recorded. In December of 2019. Oh, 32 or 33. I don't believe it, but maybe.
Yep.
It's okay.
I think we're doomed. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We're live.
Oh my God. Do you hear it? There's a cable near a power source. Can you hear it as soon as his mic flips on and the compressor or the limiter or whatever lets the sound through? Listen, you can hear it. You can hear it. Listen, listen.
Doomed.
Watch. Listen.
Thanks for checking.
Do you hear it? My God. What's going on this set?
I think we're doomed. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We're live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want to catch the full recorded podcast, which doesn't appear in these clips, make sure you join by clicking the button down below, become a member, and then go to the community tab of this YouTube channel, and you can see all of our full episodes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to get more clips like this. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all in the next show.
My God. Unbelievable.